Hi.
Hello.
My name's Sylvia. I don't know if we exchanged names yet.
I don't think so. My name's Hugo,
Nice
or
to meet
Vavo.
you. I've been following you for probably, I think, like a year now on
Mhm.
social media, and I'm from California. And so I am part of all the Portuguese organizations here in California, Northern California. So I just grew up with everything Portuguese, just I'm sure like you. I've watched a couple videos of interviews of you, so I know a little bit about you. But I don't think a lot of people in California know much about you. So much so that I asked my sister, I said, "Hey, do you know that Vavo Brito guy?" And she's like, "No, what are you talking about?" So I shared your page and she's like, "He's hysterical." I'm like, "I know, I've been following him for a while, so I'm excited to introduce you to some of the California people."
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. I think this is the first podcast I do. I've always done like interviews and radio shows, but I've always wanted to do a podcast, so this is definitely very interesting. Um,
Well, não é uma coisa muito especial because I'm in my
no,
garage. Yeah.
that's all right. It
Um,
doesn't have to be that special. It's special
It's
to
very
me. That's
special
what
to
it
my
meant.
husband, but not so much to
Mhm.
me.
But yeah, so I've been going to California actually for shows the past 3 years. Um, so I've only been doing comedy for 3 years. So I'm still a growing, rising comedian. In the Portuguese community, my page is growing on Facebook. Obviously, compared to Instagram, I don't have that many followers because of the audience type that I have. My audience is strictly Portuguese people, like immigrants. Obviously, I have a lot of second generation and third generation, but not as much as I have strictly Portuguese people because that's the first language I speak when I do my comedy is Portuguese. I
Right.
rarely speak English during my stand-up routines and improv routines. So it's nice to go to the other side sometimes and speak English. So maybe in the future I will try to bring more English into my live shows. Maybe I can get another audience from that. So we'll
Yes.
see. We never know.
You always have to grow and you always have to do
Mhm,
different things. That's part of entertainment, right? We always have to figure out what's the new hot thing to talk about, and some things
mhm.
stick and some things don't. So you'll find your way. But for the listeners to know who you are, what is your name? Because it's not Vovo Brito.
No, my name's Hugo Brito. Um, so I am 25 years old. I'm from the state of Massachusetts or Massachusetts, like Favorit likes to say. So, like I was telling you before, I've been doing comedy for about 3 years now, and I started my page right around COVID, with the reason that a lot of people opened up a comedy page during COVID to make their friends laugh, to make their family members laugh, and eventually I got very lucky and the character of Favorit just took off. I started
Yes.
doing lives, so the lives is what really helped the character because it was different. No, but I never seen somebody dress up as a Portuguese grandmother and go live on Facebook. Uh, so 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 I think that worked very well, and that's what kind of like brought me to where I am today. Obviously, a lot of people helped me along the way. Like for example, the person that gave me my first ever live show. She kind of came up with the idea. Her name is Berta Cunha. She owns a restaurant in East Providence. Um, Berta's restaurant. It's a Portuguese restaurant. So at the time, she used to own it in the Fall River, and that's where I had my first ever comedy show with about 30 people 3 years ago. And from there, it just took off. It just been like a fever dream to me.
Yeah.
I would never think that I would get to where I am right now. This year, especially, has been my biggest year yet. I've done so many amazing things. My Facebook page has grown to almost 40,000 followers. Um, so it's been amazing. It's been a journey, and I'm loving it.
Oh, you're blessed. It's been
Mhm.
fun to watch you grow. I know I haven't been following you the whole time, but finding you last year, I love watching your lives. I think For me, I think everyone has maybe a vovó kinda like that, so I
Hmm.
think that's why it's so relatable, especially for the immigrants even more so.
Hmm.
You're pretty spot on when it comes to having, like, a vovedinha in your life.
Hmm.
So, I think for everyone it's entertaining, but it's like, this is our life, like, we live
Yeah.
through this is it's funny to you guys, but this is our life. This is,
Hmm.
what we've experienced with, immigrant grandparents, especially being Portuguese American, having to go in between the American and Portuguese world and explain to your American friends,
Yeah. So
she
I
just
was.
says shut up. She doesn't really mean for you to really shut up, things like that. I would have to explain my feisty grandma. So I totally can relate to it. I think that's why I laugh so much because
Mhm.
it brings me back to those times.
And that's what a lot of people usually say to me. They usually say the same thing. I wasn't like born here. I was born in Terceira, and I came here when I was 11 years old. So I didn't grow up with that American Portuguese side. I grew up with a strictly Portuguese grandmother.
Yeah.
She wasn't American at all. But coming here and then seeing my friends' grandmothers, and then also doing carnaval, Carnaval from Terceira, which my parents have been doing it for over 25 years. And my dad used to play a character similar to this one in the Carnaval, in my padrinho also. So that's where I took the Vavo Brito from. And obviously, Vavó, because that's what you guys usually call your grandmothers here. You don't, it's very rarely that you see somebody call avó,
When you're
it's
older, I feel like,
yeah, it's always like vavó, vavó. That's what I've always heard is
yeah.
at least my friends that I met here that have Portuguese grandmothers that were raised Americanized, they call them vavó, so that's kind of where the name originated from.
Or if you're lazy teenagers, they go, "Vó,
Avó,
vó,
yeah, vó. Hmm.
vó."
Yeah, that can work too.
Yeah, I saw that you are bringing back Vovô Brito this season.
So next year I do have plans to do some new things during my live shows. It's always nice to change it up once in a while. Um, so yeah, I'm working on that. I did a video with a full breed once. It went pretty well. Then I never brought it back after that. I have no idea why. I just really didn't feel like doing it. But I think now it's the time. It's a good time to keep like things refreshed. Um, Maybe like show the people something new that a lot of people haven't seen yet. So it'll definitely be interesting. I have an idea of how I'm going to kind of bring him into my live shows. It's going to be hard to change in between acts because I'm a one man show.
You gotta
But
get a stage mom.
yes. So my fiance actually helps me a lot with my videos and everything I do related to my comedy. But when it comes to acting on stage, she's very shy. I've kind of asked her before, but she's very shy. My dad, however, like I was telling you before, he's in Carnaval. He's been doing Carnaval for over 25 years. So hopefully one day, I can bring him on stage too, and he'll do something with me. So that's an
Yeah.
idea that's also it's been in the works. I've been talking to him about it. I just have to get him in the right time.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens.
So how old were you when you came over here from Terceira?
I was 11 years old.
11 years
11
old.
years old. So obviously it was very hard, very difficult at first. I wanted to go back to Terceira when I first got here. I did not like it at all. I lived in the city of Bridgewater, and that's where I went to school. I went to middle school when I got here because technically I was in sixth grade, but they put me back 2 years because of I didn't know how to speak English. So I was with much younger kids, and it was difficult. I used to get bullied, obviously, because I didn't speak English very well. But after that, after 2 years, I've learned a lot. I seen that this is where I belong. This is where my life is now, and I had to get used to it. And if you ask me now, do I want to go back to Terceira ever and live there? I would say no. I mean,
No.
I love going there for vacation. I go there. I try to go there every year if I can, but I would not live there. No, I'm not used to it. It's a different lifestyle. I'm so used to the lifestyle here. I just became American like last
Oh,
year.
congratulations.
Thank you. So
You're welcome.
that was definitely a difficult process.
But that's a
But I'm glad.
huge, huge
Yeah,
accomplishment.
yeah, it
That's
is. I'm glad.
amazing.
Definitely glad I did that. Because not only I can travel comfortably, but this is a country that I love now and that I call home. So it's always nice to be considered 100% American, correct?
Yes. Well, technically, right? You didn't stay with the dual citizenship?
I do. So I'm a dual citizen,
Okay.
but before I had the green card, I had the permanent residence.
Mm-hmm.
And then they give me like a time period. So you have this time period to the American papers. So it's a process to do the American papers. It takes like a year. So when my green card was about to expire, I could either renew it and still be a permanent resident, or I could just pay a little extra and do the test and go through all the things that you have to do to become an American. So I did, and I passed the test. And so did my parents, and we all
Oh,
became
that's awesome.
Americans. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom got her citizenship last year. She didn't even tell us or anything. We wanted to celebrate. She's like,
Yeah.
she's been here for so long, married to my dad, and then finally she got scared when Trump was president. She went and got it. I was
Yeah,
like, they want to kick you out, so you
they
better do
were-
something.
Nah, that's not the reason why I got it, but
Yeah, of course.
I did get it. My parents obviously wanted to get it too because like I told you, like it's always easier to travel when you have an American passport. So it was good. Really glad I did that. So it was a good time. It was a good time.
So your character Vavo Brito, that came from your experience through Carnival watching your dad, and did you participate in Carnival too, and do you still?
I did participate in Carnival, so since I was very young, I did the pandeiro. I did like acting, obviously, with my dad. And one thing that a lot of people don't know about me, which 4 years ago, uh, I used to do pro wrestling. So
What?
yeah, so I was in way
That
better
is
shape
so
than I am now.
awesome.
Yeah, so that when I tell people that, they go like, "Are you kidding me? Like, there's no way." But yeah, I did. How can a how can a 5'6", 150 pound guy do pro wrestling?
Well, I'm just, how can, I mean, that is a Vavo Brito video if I ever seen one.
Trust me, I'm
You
definitely
gotta
going to
put
do
that in the
that. I'm
making.
definitely doing that. But that kind of opened up like a new world to me. And it also helped me a lot with acting and improv, because pro wrestling, as you know, it's acting. It's like I don't like to say it's fake. We don't like to call it fake. It's not fake. There's nothing fake about it because you actually get hurt doing it. But
Look
it's
at the defense, you already getting so defensive
yeah,
over
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You
It's
better not
not
call it
fake.
fake. You know what? What's his name? How to cook stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly who I thought of. I'm like, he's gonna love this
Yeah,
because he loves wrestling too.
he used to do. I think he told me we talked once, and he said he trained. He did wrestling. Mike Rita also loves wrestling. That's one thing all the Portuguese comedians have in common. They love wrestling.
What is that about? All the
I,
Portuguese guys love wrestling.
I have no idea. Maybe we should create a super wrestling show for just Portuguese comedians. That would
You
be
guys
great.
have fun with that.
We'll have Derek against Brian, and then we'll have Mike Rita against me. I think. Well, who do you think would win, Mike Rita or me?
Well, it depends if Mike Rita smoked or not.
But
So
yeah,
we'll have to see. I'll
so
be the ding 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 ding.
the the person that rings the bell, yeah.
Yes, I'm sure there's a name. Don't get
I
don't
don't know
get
what
mad
the
at
name.
me. I
I
don't know
have
the
no
name.
idea what the name is, but yeah, so that kind of like that helped me have a stage presence.
Yeah.
Because with doing that, I used to like, obviously
Wait, what
talk on
was
the
your
mic a
name?
lot.
Did you have a special wrestling name?
Yeah, so I was called the Azorian Adonis. That was my I know I used to be Hugo Brito, the Azorian Adonis. That's what they called me, and I used to be the bad guy, the heel, right? That's what they call the heel. And I
Seems
used to
like it's
just
more fun to be the bad guy.
yeah, it is. It's a lot more fun. It's a lot more easier. Also, I used to just be like try to be a jerk, try to be the chicken heel. So the bigger guys used to try to beat me up, and I try to run away. And then I used to like try to tease them and tell people that they're ugly, did this and that. I just used to try to get on people's skins, and as a heel, that's what you have to do. So I was very comfortable on a stage. So when I transitioned to comedy in front of people, with Carnaval in pro wrestling, I already had that thing like, oh, I'm comfortable being in front of people, so this is probably gonna be a little easier. Boy, I was wrong.
Oh, really?
Comedy is very difficult,
I
very
bet.
difficult. Obviously, my first show went well, um, which is why I
You got the
continued.
high, you're like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But there's been times where I bombed, and I think that's normal. But there's also been times where, like I told you before, it feels like I'm living a fever dream. Like when I went to the IPMAs this year. So I'm actually the youngest comedian and one of the few to do a show at the IPMAs, the International Portuguese Music Awards. So I did it this year. I did the pre-show for around 3,000 people. And let me tell you something, that was an experience that it was amazing. It was extremely amazing. I wish I could relive that someday, because I think about that moment almost every day. It was just
Oh,
so
I
s- it
love
was
that.
it was just so special to
Like
me.
an adrenaline rush.
Yes, it was so intense. It was awesome. Um, so I got to do like 15 minutes, which is not a lot, but it's still something.
That's a lot.
And
Isn't that a lot for a comedian? Aren't
yeah, it
like,
kind
cause
of is. Yeah.
I followed comedy probably like true. I mean, I grew up
Hmm.
watching Roseanne like my entire life since I was a little girl, but comedy as far as like stand-up comedy from Chelsea Handler, she had that Chelsea Lately show and she used to bring in all these comedians all the time, and that's kind of how I started learning about the comedians in the comedic world, and I started reading Chelsea Handler's books and I got very obsessed. And they were saying like a 10-minute set is hard, but you're saying
Yeah.
50 minutes. That's a long time. You
Yeah.
have to be
So
doing a lot of crowd work.
So that's what I do on my shows. So my live show is very different. I don't like to say I do stand up comedy because it's not really what I do.
Yeah.
I do a stand up slash improv. Obviously, crowd work plays a big part of it. The crowd is what makes my show. Um, so obviously, if I have a great crowd that's gonna participate, my show's gonna be amazing. However, if I have a crowd that does not understand a single thing that I'm saying, it's going to be difficult. Like if I have an American crowd, right? Because my show is only in Portuguese. So I've worked around that. I feel like I've almost created something that I haven't seen very often people do. I mean, the Portuguese kids, good friends of mine, they do, I think, an improv slash stand up show kind of thing also, um, wh- which is amazing and people love. So I think that's why it works because it's something different, and people been loving it. I bring a lot
Yeah.
of people on stage. I usually play a lot of games with people. I do a lot of traditional stuff, like the carnaval. I always use that on my shows. I bring people on stage and do like a carnaval dance. I also have Vavo Brito play the pandeiro.
I
Um,
love that so much.
yeah,
It is so cool to know how to do that.
yeah. So I'm glad I know how to. Obviously, I can't do it like I used to do 4 years ago when I used to do wrestling. My legs can't really go up anymore
You
like
can't,
that.
yeah, you can't crisscross your legs anymore.
I can, but my belly kind of gets on the way.
Oh
the
man, those
the
were the days.
quarantine belly. Yep, the quarantine
Yeah, I
belly.
used to dance in a folkloric dance group, and I was like, I don't know if I could get through one song anymore without
Yeah.
having a heart attack.
Yeah, folklore is very nice too. I actually used to play the mandolin for a folklore group. I played the mandolin also. So that was very nice. I wish that hopefully one day I can get back to doing those things.
Yeah,
Even doing carnaval now is kind of difficult for me because if I have bookings, throughout the winter, um, it's kind of difficult because we only practice on weekends over here for the carnaval groups, and the weekends is when I have shows. So it's very difficult for me to like kind of say no to a show so I can just focus on carnaval. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It is like it's not my full time
Well,
job, but it's like my career. So it's like my
have you
side
ever
hustle.
been a part of Carnival in Terceira, like part of their groups or anything?
So I've never been part of carnaval. I mean, when I was very young, like 10, like before I came
When you
here.
lived there?
Yeah, I did like once or twice. But right now that I'm an adult, I have that dream of hoping one day I can bring a group from here to there, in a carnaval. So that's a dream me and my dad have had. We actually tried to do carnaval this year, but because like not only me but other people in the group had other commitments. One of the main uh person that was part of the group went to the military. My friend Ethan. So we kind of like decided that maybe we should just try to do it next year again. But like I said, it's very difficult for me to like just take the time. I would really have to sacrifice a lot of shows in order to do Carnaval because we need to
Yeah,
practice.
and you're thriving right now. I mean, you're getting booked like crazy.
Yeah, next year is I already have a lot of bookings. January, I'm going to be in Winnipeg, Canada again. And then February, I'll be in Connecticut.
See,
March.
in my head, I thought you were from Canada.
Yeah, well, I don't think I could get used to living in Canada, let me tell you. I don't know
Why
how
is
my
that?
breeder can do it. I like going to Canada. I like going there for a few days, but it's just like it's a whole new world out there. It's a whole new world.
Why? I mean, I've only been for vacation, so what do you mean by that?
I don't know. It's just I don't think I could get used to the lifestyle there. It's just, everything is
What?
so different than everything is so different than America. Everything is so
Well,
different.
well, it seems like everything's expensive because it's always more money on the tab.
That also. It's just I don't know. It's just like a different lifestyle. I
Well, they
guess I'm
don't have a
just used.
Trader Joe's or a Target, so that worries me a lot.
Yeah, well, I don't go to Target anyways, besides my fiance, so that really does. I don't care about that.
Well, you
But
should care more about your fiance going to Target because it does damage.
y- you know what the big reason is why I couldn't live in Canada? Because you can barely find a Dunkin' Donuts anywhere.
Really? We got
Yes.
so lucky. We have one literally like not even a mile away from my house, and I'm in California, so we got very lucky.
What part of California do you live?
I live in Northern California, so I'm probably like 25 minutes from the Bay Area, which is, San Francisco and all that. But I live like an hour from San Francisco, but
Okay. Oh, all right.
um yeah, so being in California here, we don't experience that too much.
Yeah, when I go out there for a few days, I always have to drive so far if I want to get Dunkin' Donuts, which I end up not getting it. It's okay. I can take the sacrifice. It's just I'm from
My husband was
Massachusetts,
born
from
in
New England, so
Massachusetts. So when he saw the Dunkin' Donuts in our city, he was like, "Oh my gosh."
it's like a kid that
So,
receives a Christmas present.
yep, you get a gift card, you get a gift card.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a Dunkin' Donuts. And when
Mm.
because I typically work closer to San Francisco, so whenever I come in with a Dunkin' Donuts coffee, they're like, "Where did you get that?" There's none. We're like the only
Yeah.
one.
Over here, we literally have Dunkin' Donuts in front of one another. It's
It's like our
crazy. Like
Starbucks over here. What about Starbucks over there?
I hate Starbucks. I cannot
Wait,
stand.
so you're in Massachusetts and and you were talking about Fall River, which I only remember hearing in the songs from George Freire. But
Yeah.
but Is that what they call like Little Portugal? Fall
Yes,
River?
they call Fall
Okay.
River. I think I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure like 70% of the people are like Portuguese,
Yeah.
which is a lot. I could be wrong
So
on that. Please do not quote me on that.
no, it's
If the
okay. But so
Portuguese kids
coming
hear me
from
saying that and I'm
Saida
wrong,
and then moving straight to Massachusetts, you moved straight to Massachusetts?
yeah. So I moved. So I first lived in Bridgewater, which that's another city that's like 30 minutes from Fall River. And Bridgewater is a completely Americanized city. There's barely any Portuguese in there. But my aunt used to live there, luckily. And then I was there for a few months, and then eventually I moved to where I am right now, which is Taunton, Massachusetts. There's a lot of Portuguese over here, and it's like 20 minutes from Fall River. So we kind of all together, like Fall River, Taunton, New Bedford. Those are kind of like the three like main Portuguese towns around
Mm-hmm.
me. And then if you drive 30 minutes to another state, Rhode Island, um, you have like Pawtucket where they have a makeshift Terceira, which is a
A
club, Portuguese
makeshift
club.
Saida. Good to know.
Yeah, well, you can tell that's the club I go to a lot.
Yeah,
But they have that one. They have so many Portuguese clubs around here. They have over there in California. I think they have a lot, but it's just it takes so long to get from one club to another. That's
I
why
know.
Carnaval there, when they do Carnaval there, you guys have to travel so much. Like it takes like an
They
hour,
have
2 hours to get somewhere.
most groups will have a bus and they travel completely all through the night throughout
Hmm.
California from Southern to Northern California. I've
Yeah.
been I've been a guest on a bus, because it's very fun
Hmm.
to just if you're not performing
Oh
and you
yeah.
get to just be a guest, I highly recommend jumping on the bus rides because it is a riot. It's so fun. But yeah, I accompanied a Carnival group one time going from Northern to Southern California. It was a blast, but it's
Yeah.
so exhausting and you guys are losing your voice.
Hmm.
Some people are too drunk to make it to the next show.
You know what's funny is because like every time we finish a dance, every time we finish dancing, a performance, they always have a table with food, and drinks afterwards for us. So we get to the last club and we try not to eat that much and drink, but we just can't help it. We're Portuguese. Like,
And
how are
you're
we gonna work
happy.
around
It's
that?
something in it,
Exactly.
like the
Yeah,
energy.
exactly.
Like my
It's
mom says, com água ninguém canta. So,
no, no. So what part of Portugal is your parents from?
so my parents are from Baixo de Alentejo. So
Okay,
they're from like 20 minutes from the border of Spain. Very
okay.
small little
Oh
town
wow.
that's not on really any maps.
Yeah, I could tell you were from the mainland when I heard the Portuguese
Well,
accent.
you want to know something funny? People say, "Oh my God, your accent, like your Portuguese is proper." But I have to say, my Portuguese is not proper
It was really
considered to
good.
like people from Lisboa, because
Oh.
people from Lisboa are way more proper. I'm from like inland, Baixo de Alentejo, little town where the other day in my head for my whole entire life, I had to laugh because I was so embarrassed, but like this is my avó's fault. I have been calling Thanksgiving Feliz Dia de Peru for my entire life.
What do
And
they
I was
call it in
asking one of
Portuguese?
my
The
friends,
Ação
I
de
was like,
Graças,
oh,
right?
he's like, can you post something for us for Thanksgiving? And I was like, okay, just to clarify, this is how you say it. And he's like, girl, that is slang, like like ghetto slang. I'm like, my mom taught me ghetto Portuguese.
So what do you actually call it? How do they? Is it Dia das Ação de
Well, it's a
Graças, right?
Lanjanos. It's just like
Oh,
it's their slang. Comera, jantada, like
oh, okay.
it's I'll send you a video of like true Lanjanos talking to one another.
Hmm.
When you hear like your people speak,
Yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
like, oh, I love it so much. You can just hear your stuck. But yeah, it's a lot of things are slang as far as like for instance that. But my grandma
Hmm.
coming here already having like not as proper Portuguese as you would say like up no, going more and more north
Yeah.
up. Um her Portuguese was immaculate. It was perfect. So me saying Stoa and Gavishu
Hmm.
and all these words in my head, I just thought were true Portuguese. So then I started singing in conjunto and doing fados and stuff. And I would say certain things and they would be like, "What?"
What does that mean?
Yeah. And I'm like, "Ugh, I got set up for failure." So
But
here
you
and
know what?
there, it comes
We
out.
should we should all be proud, that we speak this amazing language because we have truly a special community, and being Portuguese, it should be something that you should be very proud about. When I was in high school, I was kind of I gotta admit, like, because of being bullied and stuff, I was kind of embarrassed to almost like do carnaval and folklore and stuff because I used to go to school and my friends used to see the pictures I posted on Instagram and stuff. Like, what are you doing? What is that? And they used to make fun of me, judge me for doing something different. But there's nothing you should be embarrassed about. There's nothing um, you should just be proud of what you're doing because different. It's okay to be different. And being Portuguese is something that now I am very proud of, and I wish that when I was in high school, I was not, embarrassed of my own culture and what we do because it's beautiful. What we do is beautiful. It's unique, and it's something that I will love for the rest of my life now.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like it's in us, it's just something
mhm,
that we love so passionately, our culture. And there's a lot of people now, especially in America, that they don't really have that sense of culture, having that.
mhm,
And it's more than just being a nationality. It just comes with like it's their identity, being
yeah.
Portuguese, almost every single thing I do is Portuguese. Whether I had to tell my son, I because he started kindergarten, I was like, okay, she is Portuguese. So you have to say, I need to go to the bathroom, please.
Oh boy.
And then we get to his class and I said something like "Olha, olha" to my son, and then the teacher said "Olha," and I'm like, "She's Portuguese." The
Oh
way she
boy.
looked at me,
Yeah.
she's like, "You're Portuguese?" I was like, "Okay, he's having an issue saying xixi and saying coco and stuff." She's all, "I got it, I got it." But it's funny because in my head, I never thought about telling him "cuecas" or underwear, just
Yeah.
words that you say that he's gonna
It's
go to
just
school and not realize they're not English words because 'cause they're just been a part of his language forever.
it's the way we are raised and the way, our parents teach us and stuff. And I think that a lot more parents should teach their kids how to speak Portuguese. That's an issue that I see all the time. Parents that have American children, and some of them do not want to teach their kids how to speak Portuguese, and I think that gets me so mad. And I don't know why that is the case, because knowing another language is always so beneficial. For the future, especially when you start working somewhere, or it's always nice to know another language. And
Yeah,
why
it's
would you not
it's
want to teach your
amazing.
kid your mother language,
Well, I
basically?
think, everyone has their different reasons, but for me, with my first one, I did so well speaking to him in Portuguese for the first like 2.5 years of his life. And as soon as you start with the English as they get older, it's so hard to keep it, especially for me because I have a stepson that's 12. And then I didn't want him to feel left out because me, his dad, his brothers are all Portuguese speaking Portuguese. And then the one that isn't
Mhm,
speaking Portuguese, because he's not with us all the time, feels left out. So I had to kind of make sure he could talk to his brother. But it's a lot easier when they're little. So I would say put on Portuguese cartoons. You can find them on YouTube, and that is the easiest way for like even me to brush up on Portuguese and for them to learn. And now with Netflix, every sub you can change it to any language you want. So the easiest thing to do is like right away get them on Portuguese cartoons and do not
mhm,
get them on English. Like don't even let them watch TV in English because that is a huge one. It's kind of how Maya Val had to learn how to speak English. She got by with certain words because she
mhm,
learned a little bit from the cartoons in English. So it's
mhm.
kind of a good way. But when you came here, you were in middle school. You're like 11, 12 years old. I feel like at that age, we're embarrassed of everything. Like our parents are embarrassing us. I want to
Mhm,
be cool. I want to fit in. I don't want to this and I don't want that. And at that age, 11, 12, I specifically remember telling my mom, I'm never speaking Portuguese again.
Yeah.
Because instead of, trying to teach me, she would laugh at me because we all laugh at each other. That's just how my family
Yeah.
is. But it actually discouraged me, and I would get so annoyed because I was trying, and she would laugh instead of be like, "No, it's this because when you're doing this or doing that," and try to explain it. So now I try to be like a healthy teacher because I think our parents were not. They were aggressive teachers. So hopefully I can teach my son without the chapadas on the back of the hand and stuff.
Oh boy, yeah, that's just the way we were raised.
I know.
That's how I was raised. At least I was raised very obviously raised in Terceira. It's very very different than what the way the kids are raised now. I guess. I used to get a lot of beatings because I was a bad kid. So that's just how Portuguese, how we do it. Obviously it's wrong to do that, but at the time, at the time that's the
Oh,
way
yeah.
they did it, and that's the way we learned. So
Yep.
it's okay.
My
Um,
sisters always used to say, "You're gonna be the one. You're the one that's gonna get hit by our dad. You're gonna be the one." Hey, I never got it, so
Never got it. Luckily,
not from my
luckily.
dad, that's for sure. But my mom, every shoe in the house touched my coo.
But Portuguese is beautiful. I'm so glad that I speak so well Portuguese. Obviously, a lot of kids when they immigrate here so young, like I did, they forget how to speak um, their language. Some of them, I know some of them that do, and I'm very glad that I kept doing carnaval and folklore and all these Portuguese things. And I never got to forget my Portuguese, and I always write in Portuguese too. Obviously, when I write my shows, it's in Portuguese. My jokes is in Portuguese. So I'm very fortunate for that. I know how to speak better Portuguese than English, obviously. But still, but it's weird because, for example, what I'm doing right now, a podcast. If I was doing this in Portuguese, I wouldn't be able to express myself like I am right now.
Yeah.
It would be so hard to find words. So it's strange how it works, but I guess that's just what
Yeah, I
an
kind of
immigrant
have that
is.
situation too when I sing, especially with fados. Typically, you would explain a song or whatever it may be in Portuguese in between songs. And it was always really hard for me to like lock that in, the meaning behind everything that I was doing because my my Portuguese wasn't as strong speaking as it was singing, which is
Mm,
interesting. Um, because at that time, 11, 12 years old, I kind of did stop speaking at Portuguese as much. And when it came back where I was speaking more, I went to Portuguese school and everything too, and always understood and everything. But when it came back to me learning Portuguese again, it was all because I was reading lyrics and learning how to sing the songs in Portuguese. And so obviously, when you know it, and you can read it since you're a little kid, but it brought it back, and that's kind of what made it even stronger was me having to read lyrics and stuff. But I think that I trick people a little bit because my accent is good when I sing and I sound like, oh, she probably speaks very well. And then when I go to speak, atrapalho-me toda. So
well, I could
I get
not tell.
nervous
Your
because
Portuguese is
it's
very well.
because I get nervous because of what the people can say,
What
or
they think,
I didn't
and
say
that's what a
this
lot of
right,
people.
or I didn't address people right,
Mhm.
or I didn't use, and in Portuguese language is very
And
complex.
I
It's
think
very hard.
a lot of people have the same problem that you have, and that's why I think a lot of kids, second generation, are kind of like almost embarrassed to speak Portuguese because Portuguese people can be very judgmental, and you know that I'm sure. Like my fiance, she speaks very well Portuguese, but sometimes she's embarrassed to speak because people can judge her, and I don't think that's right of people judging others because of the way they speak. It's just, she just be proud of them that they speak your language. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
especially going into the new generation that most likely they're not going to speak Portuguese, realistically. Like, my kids are probably not going to be fluent in Portuguese. Will they be immersed in the Portuguese culture? Of course, but speaking fluently, most likely they're not. And I think that's going to be a lot of first generation Portuguese. Their kids are not going to speak Portuguese, but they're so immersed into the culture, it's going to help them. And also, there's so many Portuguese schools that are now starting to teach kids more and more. I feel like
Yeah,
we're starting to open up and grow a little bit more with that, but it is a lot harder to get, um because sometimes even like my generation, like my friends, they don't even speak fluent Portuguese, and their parents have been speaking to them in Portuguese and they answer back in English.
hmm
So it's all about, you have to use it.
yeah,
If
you do.
you even know a little bit, like even if it's broken, you have to use it. You have to practice with it.
It's like anything else in life, like me in comedy. The more shows I have, the more comfortable I'm gonna feel.
Yeah.
If you play an instrument, the more you practice the guitar, the better you're gonna get. Just like speaking Portuguese, I guess.
Yeah, I have to
But
ask you a question about Vavo Brito because I'm
mhm.
so curious, and I guarantee so many people want to know. What do you use for your tooth?
Okay, so so I have this product. It's this product I get from Amazon. It's this Halloween product. You literally just type black ink for your teeth. Um, it's something that you apply, right? And I never applied to this tooth right here because I have a crown. I broke my front tooth when I was a kid. I mean, a lot of Portuguese kids did. so I never applied it.
Divino.
So I never applied to that one, which is why, obviously, I look like I only have one tooth. So I applied to all the other ones on top, and it just worked so perfect. The first time I applied, I was like, "Holy, this is amazing!" Because I have like my front teeth are big, so me with that one front tooth, it just looks hysterical. It
See,
that
you
gives,
probably will self-conscious about your teeth your whole life, and look what
yeah,
it's done for you.
it gives like the whole look. It just changes the whole look.
Yeah.
Like when I first started doing it, I did not use the black ink. So if you see some of my first videos, it's just my normal teeth. But then when I use the normal teeth, it just, oh my god, it became such a different vibe. Even with me, like I just felt like different while performing the character. I just felt like I was funnier. And people get a kick out of that. That the fact that I only have one front tooth when
Oh,
I
I
play a
love
full
it.
beat.
It's like the best, but I'm like, what does he use?
Yeah,
It looks great.
thank you.
So one of your latest videos, you were preparing the turkey for Thanksgiving. Is
Yeah,
that your dad behind you
that
that
is
was
my
with you?
dad. My dad. Yep, that was him. He
How
loves.
do you keep a straight face with like, cause when you're with your people,
Yeah.
you break character more over it
hmm
because you see their expressions and you guys could just start cracking up. I saw like your dad cracking a little bit. So I'm like, how does he
hmm
keep a straight face? Because you're live.
Yeah, it's just like they're so used to it by now. I mean, I'm literally walking around the house dressed up as an old lady, so can't
That's
get
the
more
weirdest
weird
thing,
than
right?
that.
When you think about it.
So it's always so
Totally
funny.
normal.
It's always so funny because like at work or like if I have a group of friends that are not Portuguese, um, and they say, "Oh yeah, like for example, the place where I get my haircut, right? My friend is American. All the other people there are American. There's no Portuguese in there. So I go there, and one of my friends was telling the other guys like, "Oh yeah, he's a comedian." He's like, "Oh really? What do you do? Like, what kind of comedy do you do?" I was like, "Oh well, you see, how do I explain this? I'm not a drag queen. Not like there's nothing wrong
Oh,
with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just dress up as a Portuguese grandmother and do comedy." And they're like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Well, you kind of have to really see it." And my fiance, always been very supportive.
congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Always very supportive of that, which I'm very glad because like you wouldn't find a girl that's comfortable with a guy being dressed up as a grandmother around you doing comedy videos.
She's a keeper, that's for sure.
Yeah, literally. So props to her for that. But it's very strange sometimes. Very strange. I there's times where I don't feel very comfortable, especially like if I'm at home, because it's just weird. Like I'm putting on a fake bra, and a dress, and that's not who I am. I'm a guy. So like it's kind of strange to me
So
sometimes,
what is
but
like
I've just
your
gotten used
ritual
to it.
to get into like the
The
Vavo Brito
character.
like character?
First of all, people have I can't have noise around me. Like it's just I have to be on the right state of mind. For when I want to do videos, there's times where I'm kind of almost like forced to film on that day because that's the only time I have of the day. And I was just like, oh my god, how am I gonna do this today? I'm really not in the mood. And then my mom's around the house cleaning the house, and then my dad's in the living room, and I'm like, oh my god, like how am I gonna do this? Like they're just everywhere, like so what am I gonna do? But you just gotta get dressed, and I feel like when I put those clothes on, it's like I'm Superman, right? You know how Superman puts
Yeah.
in Spider-Man, how when he puts the mask and stuff, like he's all like he's different. That's me. People say that all the time, like that I'm a completely different person when I'm outside that costume. Like I
Well, I
change.
hope
Oh, well, I would hope
so.
so, right? Yeah, right. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like being like outgoing and a different person, like Vovo Brito is like very always saying dirty jokes and just doing weird stuff, and very outgoing with people, likes to be around people. Me, on the other hand, Hugo, I'm more a shy person, to be honest. I like to be home, play my video games, relax, listen to music. I hate being around big crowds of people. Um, but Vavobrit, on the other hand, she's completely
She's a
different than
party
that.
girl.
Yeah, she's a party girl.
She's a party girl. That's so funny. So at your like family parties, like Christmas, do you have to bring her out? Or are you like, come on, you guys?
You know, um, I go to this every year. My best man for my wedding, David DeMello. I go to his party every year, Christmas party. He throws a big Christmas party every
He
year.
always goes live with his band, huh?
Sometimes,
I see him. I
yeah,
see
sometimes.
the videos
Yeah,
sometimes.
he's very cool. He's a very cool guy. I love him to death, and he always invites me every year to his house to be part of the Christmas party. And this year was the only year that I did not dress up as a Volbeat and crash the party because I forgot my clothes at home and I was so mad. But all the years before that, uh, I would always like dress up and just do like a 20-minute routine and people would love it. And
Will
this
you
year,
just
people,
enter and just be the guest?
yeah, I just get
And just
drunk. I just get drunk and then dress up and do the comedy show.
It's so much fun. Hey, a good show for Boba Brito to go would be a drag show. That would be hysterical.
Okay, I'll think about that. Hey, if the pay is well, like I mean, I would probably have to look into that
Well,
market.
well, that's what's hard about you. I would say, like, you're an influencer now in a sense, right? You're like,
Yeah,
what's hard is that you have a character. I mean, there's a lot of people that just have to be themselves and create their
yeah,
own content. And with you, you put so much more work than someone that is just being themselves on camera. You really have
yeah.
to get in the zone. You really have to be a character. It takes so much more work. And even your videos that I see on YouTube, I saw the one where you're putting the sabon in the fish tank, which I was thinking like, who let him
Oh
do
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Because my parents would never let him do that to
Well,
our fish pond.
that video it had no fish in it, so that pond had no fish in it.
It's a
Uh,
disclaimer.
yeah,
No
disclaimer.
animals were.
Literally,
Well,
please.
I don't know. The fish was rolling on the grass.
Well,
Animal
my
could have
friend,
been hurt.
my friend Jeff has another pond on the other side. He has two ponds, and he has one that is empty that he was gonna take the water out anyways, and then he has the other one with fish all clean. So I was like, all right, this is a perfect idea for a video. So we just put the sabong in one pond, and he said that it took over 1 month for the sabong to
This.
like disappear. Like eventually, obviously, he had to take the water out, so it worked out. But I felt bad if he had to put fish in there because I don't think they would survive
But you
at all.
see what I mean? You have to like. literally do all of these
Yeah.
antics for content,
Yes.
and it's a lot of work.
And
So
I haven't uploaded to
kudos to
YouTube
you.
recently. YouTube, I usually don't upload to YouTube a lot. And Instagram, I started recently posting more reels, because I want to grow my Instagram more. Because compared to my Facebook page, it's just like I don't really have a big following on it at all. My Facebook is where I usually stick to it the most. I post content there daily. All my videos are on Facebook, and that's where my audience is also.
Yeah.
The Portuguese old ladies love Facebook.
Yeah, it is true.
So,
When I started this podcast, I didn't post it to my Facebook for so long of the fear of the Portuguese, like judgmental
oh my
people.
goodness, we'll get
It took
into
me a
that.
long time to get the guts to post on Facebook,
hmm But
but chegou o tempo.
sorry, I'm drinking tea because I'm a little sick. So,
Oh, it's
if
okay.
my voice is a little weird, is because I have a stuffy nose. But
No,
anyways,
I was almost gonna message you and say, by the way, I want to interview you, not Vavo Brito.
Nava Favorite.
You understand?
Can you imagine if I just
I would feel so bad. I'm like, oh, let's do it. Let's
yeah.
go. We would roll with it.
Yeah, but
Well,
this
are
is
you coming to California anytime soon?
I am actually. I am coming there in March 2nd. I'm going to Artesia.
Oh, fun.
And then on April, um I forgot the date. They're gonna kill me probably if they listen to this. But I'm
We
gonna
can
be at
add
the
it too.
yeah, we can add it. We're gonna be to the I'm gonna be at the San Joaquin Valley Portuguese Festival.
Oh, I'll see you there.
So I've actually been going there for the past 4 years. Um, and they always find something new for me to do. You would think that people are sick of me, but they're not because I'm doing
Nah,
MC. I'm doing the master of ceremonies. So
love
Fovo Brito
it.
is being the master of ceremonies. It's not. I'm not doing
I
a comedy
love
show.
that idea.
So it's gonna be something completely different. I did it last year, and they gave me like a paper for me to like write the day before. It's like, here's the paper. You have to say all this, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have a mental breakdown. But I loved it. It was just so much fun. But this year I'm obviously gonna be more prepared, and I already know kind of what to do, what not to do. So it's different. Being an MC is very different, but especially in character, I can joke, play around with George Freire like I did last year. It was just amazing. This year there's gonna be a lot more singers, which I can't really announce right now.
Yeah,
But there's gonna be amazing performers we're gonna have. I think people are gonna love, and it's gonna be a great festival like it is every year. So I hope to see people there because it's my
yeah.
favorite Portuguese festival that I do.
It's probably like 35, 40 minutes from my house, so it's an easy one for me. Probably not easy for like how you guys are used to going to places super, but we're used to driving over here, so that's
Yeah.
close for us.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's not too it's not too far. So yeah, we I went last year too. Um, a lot different going to Portuguese things with kids now.
Yeah.
You can't party at the way that I used to. So
Mhm.
definitely was watching from very far behind and everything, but I was there. I'm so now that the kids are a little bit older, I'm being brave enough to bring them out. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I'm like, ugh, do I want to bring a stroller and everything that consists of that?
I don't
Okay,
have
I'll
kids
go.
yet,
So
so I
sometimes I'll go and my husband will stay with the kids for a little bit.
I wouldn't know what it is because I don't have kids yet. Hopefully in the future, but I think
Yeah.
I'm okay for now, especially with the travel that I do now. I think it would um
Well, first
not
you
be
guys
so
got to enjoy like your marriage,
yeah. Well, we're
travel
getting
because
married
my
soon.
husband and I got right down to it and had kids right away. And we didn't really get to travel. And now we're like, now we have to pay for three other people to travel with us.
Well,
So it's a
I'm
little bit
getting
harder. So
married.
I would recommend to travel, just you two.
We have traveled. We've gone obviously to Terceira 2 times already, but we haven't gone anywhere like really like far. And I've always wanted to go on a cruise, so that's what we plan on doing for a honeymoon. I'm gonna get married in 2025 in Terceira.
Fun.
Um, so that's gonna be like another kind of dream come true. I've always wanted to get married there. So I'm so glad that I found somebody that has family out there, and that also has the same interest that I have. So it's been definitely a lot of stress, a lot of planning, um, but it's gonna be worth it at the end. I know it is. So it's gonna be a fun time. to get married in my island, with my family there and stuff like that. Because I don't have no family here. I just have my parents, in an uncle in California, uh, and that's it. All my family is out there. My vavosh, my tias, my madrinha, my primos are all there. So it's gonna be interesting.
Well, that'll be one of the best days of your life to this day. My wedding was one of the best days of my entire life. Of course, kids came after that, but
Hmm.
um it was a big festa at my wedding, that's for sure. So I'm sure it's going to be the same thing for you, especially since you're in Thusada. Your hype mode is going to be like all the way
Yeah.
up. You're going to feel like $1,000,000. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So I saw that you're going to do a live event on December 19th
Yeah,
on
I'm doing a
Facebook.
live event. One of my sponsors, a Voss Feast. I'm gonna be at his restaurant. The owner is named Mike, and he actually told me today that by the time this podcast comes out, probably, um, he's already doing the giveaways. But if people go into the store in Fall River, a Voss Feast, they buy a meal. They will give you a raffle ticket, and you'll get a chance to win a Samsung 45-inch TV and
Wow.
an HP Chromebook. So I'll be giving away that during the live, um,
Oh, okay.
and plus other giveaways. And I'm gonna have like a few guests, maybe some music going, like like Portuguese, like people playing like accordion or singing Christmas carols. It's gonna be different. It's like a live special. It's gonna be a
Like
different
a
different thing.
show. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, we know that we can follow you on Facebook. Is it the Brito Comedy? Is your
Yes,
handle?
the Brito Comedy is my Facebook, and you can follow me there, and on Instagram and on YouTube. Um, so that's where I have my social media. TikTok is also the Brito Comedy I upload. I've recently started uploading to TikTok too, which I've also my audience there has been growing a lot. So
That's
I
awesome.
I love it there. I love it. It used to be just Vavo Brito. The name used to be Vavo Brito on TikTok, but I changed it recently because I mean the Brito Comedy is basically my brand, so
Yes.
it's a good idea to keep everything one name.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I am so happy to get to know you, and I can't wait to see you in April. I'm gonna come and give Vovo big hugs.
Let me know.
And thank you for coming on the show. This has been fun. I had all those stupid questions for you. They weren't really like, how did you do the teeth and
They
how
were
do you
not
prepare
stupid at all.
yourself?
No, they
Well,
weren't
it
stupid. I
was
had.
just interesting for me because I was always just singing, right? I just had to have a nice
Mhm.
outfit and look nice. I never had to build a character. So it's like that. I just knew it took a lot of work, and I'm proud of you for that and
Thank
to
you.
continue it because you're putting yourself out there in front of one of the most judgmental cultures
Yeah,
ever is
it's
really
very
hard.
difficult.
So I
Very
commend you
difficult.
for that. And TikTok is a non-judgmental zone, so you're safe
Mm,
there.
debatable, debatable. I mean, every social media is judgmental
Yeah.
on some way or another, and I have had a lot of problems with that recently and lately. Obviously, it gets me down a lot when somebody comes on my page and comments negative things. But I'm learning how to deal with it slowly, and obviously, you can't pay attention to that, the haters. I mean, look at the people that love you. I mean, I have so many people that love me and love what I do. There's always going to be, with anything that you do in life, somebody always going to hate you for it. So no matter what you do, not just comedy, music, like anything. I know what I do. I love what I do. I love making people laugh. It's my passion. It's to make my community laugh. It's to help my community grow, bring awareness um, to the Portuguese community about bullying. That's something I've been trying to do also. So it's just I just that's who I am. I love being myself. Love making people laugh. So I hope
Well,
to
we
keep
love
doing
you
it for
for
many
that.
years.
You're doing a good thing. You're bringing a lot of smiles to a lot of people's faces, especially some of the older people, they
Hmm.
need a good laugh.
Yeah, for
Then
sure.
maybe the Facebook comments won't be so awful
No.
if you make them smile a little bit. But yeah, we're all in this together. I think the Portuguese community is growing in a really special way right now. We're in a really interesting spot because a lot of the generation below us want to be involved. The folklore groups are growing. Like, I just see a different energy with the younger community than there was in the last, I would say, 5
Mm,
years or so. Because when I grew up, I felt like it was really, like, strong as well, and then through COVID and everything, it kinda slowed down. So I'm seeing a lot of more of the younger generation wanting to be involved and being very proud of being Portuguese and, not embarrassed like we were when we were younger.
mhm.
My parents were in the predominantly white neighborhood picking azeitonas from trees and coming to pick me up from school in like a white raper van.
Oh
So
boy.
I've had my fair share of being envergonhada. So
Did it say free as a azeitonas on the side of the van?
it was so bad. It was so bad. I was so embarrassed. I couldn't believe it.
About
But
yeah.
I wanna thank you for everything that you're doing. I'm wishing you so much success in the new year, and I hope that you can come back on. I'd love to talk to you about some of the bowling stuff. My podcast, I talk a lot about mental health and the struggles that I've had with my mental health after having, postpartum depression, and Portuguese people literally have anxiety when they come out. So, I talk about a lot of my struggles with that, but then I bring in like fun people like you to kind of lighten the mood and have something fun to talk about and not so dark, I guess. But I would love to have you back on the show.
Thank you for having me. It would be a pleasure to come back and talk about that. I mean, I do struggle with that too. I mean, obviously, I'm very open about it on my social media as well. And I think, it's a common problem nowadays, especially the way the world is. There's nothing wrong, and especially being a guy. A lot of guys are kind of shy about, like saying that, like, oh, I struggle with mental health, but there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of more guys should come out and really talk about it because at the end of the day, you just need somebody to talk to
Yeah.
and kind of like be there for you, and everybody's different. So
Yeah,
thank you for
men
having
struggle
me.
too.
Thank you for
Def-
having me, and
oh,
I
of
I really
course.
hope I come back. All
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks so much.
right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.